Imagine this. It's a chilly morning, and you're sipping coffee at your favorite cafe. You're casually scrolling through your phone, and an article catches your eye. A story about a place called Santorini, that dreamy Greek island with whitewashed houses and sparkling blue waters. You've never really thought about it before, but the pictures look incredible. You put your phone down, thinking, that would be a cool vacation spot someday. And then, it begins. Later that day, your friend mentions her honeymoon plans, Santorini. You walk into a bookstore, and on the front display, there's a travel magazine with top 10 Santorini secrets printed in bold letters. Even your Netflix suggestions seem to be full of travel documentaries about Greece. Suddenly, Santorini is everywhere. And it's more than just a coincidence, right? Or is it? This, my friends, is what we call the Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon. It's a cognitive bias that tricks our minds into believing the universe has orchestrated a cosmic spotlight, illuminating something newly learned or noticed, making it appear omnipresent. It's fascinating and a little unsettling, isn't it? But why does this happen? Let's break down what's going on inside your brain. According to research from Stanford University, our minds are constantly overwhelmed by a barrage of information. Think of it like this. Every second, our senses are bombarded with 11 million bits of data. The colors in a painting, the background chatter in a crowded room, the feeling of your shirt against your skin, all of this information is flooding in all the time. But here's the twist. Of those 11 million bits, our conscious brain can only process around 40 bits per second. Just 40. It's like standing under a waterfall, but only catching a trickle of water in a cup. This means your brain has to be picky, really, really picky, about what it chooses to focus on. And the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is your mind's way of adjusting its focus. When you first learn about something, your brain marks it as relevant, tagging it like an email marked urgent in your inbox. And once it's tagged, your brain starts noticing it more often, even though it was always there. It's a mechanism that kept our ancestors alive, helping them detect patterns and threats in the environment. But today, it plays tricks on us in ways we don't even realize. Let me give you another example, and this one's personal. A man named David once shared his story in a psychology forum. David had a strange experience. He'd never thought much about motorcycles. They were just loud machines, blurs on the highway, until his younger brother bought one. The next day, as David drove to work, he saw motorcycles everywhere. It felt eerie, like some kind of cosmic joke. He even started hearing ads on the radio about motorcycle safety. David said, "I felt like the universe was shouting, 'Pay attention.' But is it really the universe? No. Studies in cognitive neuroscience reveal that our brains create mental shortcuts called heuristics. These are tricks our mind uses to filter out unnecessary information, but sometimes they mess with our perception of reality. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is one of those quirks, and it's more common than you might think. Let's talk about numbers. A survey conducted by Psychology Today found that 84% of people have experienced this phenomenon at least once in the past year. That's almost everyone. People reported a range of triggers. Some noticed a new health condition, and suddenly, their social media feeds were filled with medical advice. Others learned about a rare animal species and kept stumbling upon wildlife documentaries featuring that very creature. It's as if our brains are playing a game, and we're the unwitting players. Think about it like this. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon isn't just a harmless trick. It can shape your behavior in ways you don't even notice. For instance, marketers and advertisers understand how to use this to their advantage. Ever noticed how, after you search for a product online, you're bombarded with ads for it everywhere? It's not just clever algorithms. When you see the ads repeatedly, your brain's relevance filter is triggered, making you more likely to click and buy. Companies know this and capitalize on it. Or consider how it plays out in healthcare. There's a documented case involving medical students, often called medical student syndrome. As they learn about various diseases, they start seeing symptoms everywhere. A simple headache might feel like a brain tumor. A cough could be lung disease. It's not that these illnesses are more common, it's that their brains are now wired to notice them. In extreme cases, this can lead to health anxiety, impacting not only their studies, but also their mental well-being. And it gets more serious. In the world of crime investigations, police officers are trained to be aware of cognitive biases, including phenomena like this one. Imagine if an officer learns about a new gang in the area. Suddenly, they might start seeing gang-related behavior where there's none. Their heightened awareness, though rooted in caution, could lead to profiling or false assumptions. The Journal of Criminal Psychology published a report showing that cognitive biases like these can sometimes distort judgment, especially under stress. Now, let's look at how this affects relationships. Have you ever been in a fight with someone close to you? You're angry, hurt, maybe feeling betrayed. In that heightened emotional state, your brain becomes hyper-aware of any tiny action that reinforces your feelings. If your partner forgets to call or says something offhand, it feels amplified, like evidence that they don't care. Your brain is searching for proof, connecting dots that might not be there. It's the Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon at work, subtly magnifying conflict. And there's more. Researchers at Harvard University conducted a study on how this phenomenon can impact our worldview. When people are exposed to fear-inducing news, such as stories about crime or political unrest, their brains start filtering for similar content. They begin seeing danger everywhere, even if statistics show that crime rates are declining. This can lead to a pervasive sense of anxiety and mistrust, a psychological effect that feeds into our collective consciousness. Or, think about the aftermath of major natural disasters. After Hurricane Katrina, for instance, psychologists observed that residents of New Orleans became hyper-aware of storm forecasts, interpreting even mild weather changes as signs of another impending catastrophe. Their brains were wired for vigilance, a survival mechanism that took years to calm. Even love can be impacted. If someone has been heartbroken and is afraid of getting hurt again, they may notice every little sign that their new partner might leave or betray them. They might become anxious, overanalyze texts, or even self-sabotage. In these cases, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon can exacerbate emotional wounds, turning small worries into what feels like undeniable truths. The real question is, how do we navigate this? How do we separate what's real from what our brains are amplifying? Neuroscientists suggest mindfulness as one powerful tool. By becoming aware of your thoughts and recognizing when your mind is filtering reality, you can take a step back. Techniques like journaling or even talking things out with someone you trust can help you recalibrate your perspective. You start to see how your mind may be coloring the world in ways that aren't entirely accurate. Now, reflect on this. How often do we let these brain tricks shape our decisions, our fears, and our joys? Understanding that our minds play these games can be empowering. It reminds us that our perceptions aren't always as objective as they seem. And while we can't always control these biases, we can learn to be more aware of them. Have you ever experienced this phenomenon? Maybe in a way that changed how you saw the world, even just for a moment? Share your story. Let's talk about how our brains shape our reality. And if you found this journey into the mind's hidden biases intriguing, consider subscribing to Universal Insights. Together, we can keep unraveling the mysteries of the universe and our own minds.